Hello, welcome back to the Pistol Report. My name is John Francois. I'm the Senior Instructor for Archangel Technologies. In our last video, we discussed grip and proper handling of the pistol. And now what we're going to discuss is how the length of a barrel influences the velocity and performance of bullets. So before we get started, let's do our 4 rules of gun safety. The firearm is always loaded. Never put your finger on the trigger until you're on target. Know your target and what's beyond it, and never let the barrel of your firearm point at something you're not willing to destroy. Now that we have that, let's move right along. So what I have here are 3 different sizes of semi-automatic pistol. Now what I discussed in barrel length also applies to revolvers. So if a revolver has a 4-inch barrel, it's equivalent to a 4-inch barrel on a pistol. So for instance, I have the 9mm, the 45, and the 357 Magnum. These are 3 of the most popular rounds or calibers out in society today. And the way that the barrel length affects it is a full-size 1911 has a 5-inch barrel. The mid-size has a 4-inch barrel. And this striker fire is a compact with a 3-inch barrel. So, for instance, the average 9mm bullet, let's say 115 grains, will usually have a velocity out of a 4-inch barrel because that's what they usually test them through. And if you look on the back of the packaging of most cartridges, it'll tell you the velocities that you should expect to get. And they do that by firing the weapon and clocking the speed of the bullet with a chronograph. So, let's say 115 grains at 1100 feet per second. If it's fired from a 5-inch barrel, it will have a distinctive velocity. If it's tested in a 4-inch barrel, which most likely it is, let's say it's 1100 feet per second. If you move down to a smaller firearm with a 3-inch barrel, you can expect about 50 feet per second of loss of velocity for every inch that you lose in barrel length. So a 5-inch, 4-inch, or 3-inch, if you take an inch off of each one, from the 5-inch to the 4, you lose 50 feet per second. From the 4-inch to the 3, you lose another 50 feet per second. So down the board, a 230 grain 45 ACP cartridge, the bullet usually travels at about 900 feet per second. If it's fired from a 5-inch barrel, it might be just a little bit higher because, like I said, a lot of the cartridges and bullets are tested in 4-inch versions of firearms. And so that would drop down to about 850 if you go from a 5 to a 4. And if you went from a 4 to a 3, you're going to lose another 50 feet per second. And that is across the board when it comes to handguns. So if you have a 4-inch 357 Magnum revolver and that 158 grain bullet is moving out at 1400 feet per second, what you can expect is if you go down to a 3-inch barrel, it's going to be 1350. If you go down to a 2-inch barrel, it's going to be 1300. So that's the correlation between barrel length and the velocity of the bullet. And you're going to lose a little bit of accuracy. Now, with the distances that we teach with self-defense handgun use, it really doesn't matter that much. But you never know what kind of circumstance you might be in where you have to engage a threat from further distance. And so it's pretty relevant to cover that if you have a 3-inch barrel semi-automatic or a revolver, you're not going to be as accurate if it's a 4-inch barrel. And that's not going to be as accurate as if it's a 5-inch barrel. They even make carbine uppers that actually slide on to most pistols. That Glock has one, the 1911s have some, and it actually increases the velocity and the accuracy and the distance on a handgun round through a carbine barrel. So, once again, you can expect to lose 50 feet per second from each reduction of 1 inch of a handgun barrel. If anybody has any questions about any of this, please put it in the comments below. Until next time, take care.